Here's Roberson on the outside for Bonner. Walsh, three-point territory.
Two different styles of play with these basketball teams. Florida likes to go up and down, and Michigan State likes to defend and keep it in the half-court sets as much as they can.
Hamilton for Bonner, pump fake. Kick out. Welcome everybody to Tampa, Florida. This is the St. Pete Times Forum, an action from the South region. The number 2 seed Florida taking on the number 7 seed Michigan State. It is a rematch of the 2000 NCAA Finals in which the Spartans won their second national championship.
And a team, Michigan State, without a true point guard. Florida initially and starts this basketball game with some full court action. They're going to try to keep the pressure on the point, whoever has it on the perimeter.
Both teams coming off convincing opening round victories here in Tampa. Michigan State ball. Lorbeck swings it. Hill on a pump fake. Driving baseline. Banks it off the glass and in.
In the game against Colorado that Michigan State won, Hill shot 9 of 10 of his shots from the three-point stripe. Obviously, Florida thought that was going up long range, and he drove right past people.
Michigan State caught everybody's attention with their physical play in the victory over Colorado. And the question, can Florida handle that style of basketball on the inside today?
Yes.
Roberson a three. And over the backboard and over the shot clock. On the court right now for Michigan State, Anaganye, Anderson, Lorbeck, Hill, and Torber. Florida has Bonner, Walsh, Lee, Roberson, and Hamilton.
Well, to answer your question about the physical play, Billy Donovan, speaking with him, said, you know, we've played physical guys, played against physical teams this year, so he's not afraid of that. His team's not afraid of it. They're willing to bang. But Michigan State is pretty big, and they love to bang down low.
Anaganye, big body against Lee. Lee coming off a 23-point performance in Florida's win over Sam Houston State. Lorbeck back of the iron. Offensive rebound, Torbert. And then a reach-in foul on Hamilton.
A pretty good offensive rebounding team. Tom Izzo's team really takes pride in their rebounding prowess.
Tom Izzo now in his 8th year with Michigan State, one of 7 coaches with teams currently in the NCAA Tournament to win the whole thing. And he did it against this Gator team. 2-0 Michigan State in front. 2 minutes gone by here in the South region.
And Florida settling into a 2-3 zone.
Ball movement, Lorbeck swings it. Anderson penetration. The floater doesn't go, but free throws coming up. Allen Anderson headed to the free throw line. Personal foul on Walsh. That's his first. Billy Donovan trying to get back to the Sweet 16 for the 3rd time in 5 years. And his Florida team, 25-7 this season. They set a Gator record for regular season victories.
Billy Donovan really feels that his team, because of the young players, hasn't gotten the respect that they deserve. They've had a terrific year this year.
Michigan State with a 2-0 lead over Florida. The number 7 seed taking on the number 2 seed here in the South. 17:49 to go in the first half. We're just underway from Tampa, Florida. Anderson at the free throw line. A lane violation as Lorbeck stepped in. And Michigan State holds on to the 2-0 lead.
One of the things that'll be interesting with this game is the free throw attempts taken by both of these clubs. Florida State has to get to the line. Their last 4 losses have only gotten there about 14 times. Michigan State the other night, 25 attempts. We'll see how that plays out.
A rematch of the 2000 NCAA championship game. Michigan State took that one in Indy, 89-76.
Florida having some trouble trying to get their shots off. The perimeter defense very good for Michigan State.
Lee whips it to the corner. A Hamilton 3 gets Florida on the board. A pseudo home court advantage here tonight at the St. Pete Times Forum for the Gators.
Did you notice how Lee had to put that ball on the floor? That's one way to get the perimeter open.
Anaganye off the window and in.
That's where he's so strong, Ian. He's got muscles and just pounds people down low. He's so strong and loves to catch and go to the hoop.
Anaganye, one of 2 Spartans that were on that national championship team in 2000. Adam Ballinger is the other. 3 Gators participated in that game in Indianapolis. Lee is fouled out front before he made his move to the rim.
Lee had a terrific game against Sam Houston State by putting the ball on the floor and going after people. You should take a look at Izzo's record. Not so shabby. He has 17-4 in the NCAA tournament.
And he doesn't lose in the second round, at least not yet. 4-0. Lorbeck picks up the personal foul. Bonner stripped by Torbert.
Let's see if he can get to the middle of the floor. Good luck. But he walked before it.
Traveling call as he put the pass on the money for the Anderson dunk that's waved off.
That's a nice call. It was a good setup for the delivery in terms of a 3-on-1 break going down the floor. You just cannot turn the basketball over when you have numbers in the NCAA tournament.
Florida 85-55 win over Sam Houston State the other night. And Gagne gives it right back to the Gators after the steal.
Look at the intensity of Tom Izzo. You know what he's saying to him? He says, you made a great play just then stealing the basketball. Why are you trying to dribble it up the floor, though? Give it to a small guy. You do what you do well and let them do what they do well.
And Gagne, a captain of this Spartans team. Second year in that role for Michigan State. Roberson, the freshman, swings it. Here's Bonner, the senior. Out of bounds. Florida turns it over again.
One thing's pretty clear with Florida and Billy Donovan's squad early on. They're trying to force the big guys, you know, to defend their big guys off the dribble. So far, they've not had success, Florida, because Michigan State's big guys have answered.
3 turnovers for each team. Torbert takes the opening and almost threw it down as he took off from quite a distance. A foul call.
Well, you take a look at this drive to the basket. This is what he does. He has great hops to the basket. And how about the release pass also by Lorbeck, the big guy, releasing the basketball and getting it ahead after he was double teamed.
David Lee picks up the foul for Florida. Torbert, a 75% shooter. First one is good. Substitution. It'll be freshman for freshman. Paul Davis, the Rochester, Michigan native, in for Erasm Lorbeck, native of Slovenia.
Would anticipate both of these teams to go fairly deep into their bench. Just have a good feeling that this is going to be rough and tumble. It's going to be up and down, and they're going to need a lot of players on the floor.
Gators have coughed it up their last 3 possessions down the floor, and Michigan State with a 6-3 lead.
So far, Florida has not been able to get many free looks at the basket. Michigan State very good at all positions at attacking the perimeter.
Roberson pulls the trigger. No good from long range, and it's rebounded by Hill for Michigan State.
Michigan State loves to run the ball down the floor. Not necessarily to score, but just to tire you out and get it down there and make your work.
Off the double team. Open look, Anderson. Rainbow jumper, no. Tipped up in the air. Roberson touched it, but so did Michigan State. Out of bounds in our first break. 15:31 to go, first half. The Spartans lead by 3.
CBS Sports exclusive coverage of the Men's Basketball Championship is sponsored by Chevy Trucks, AIG, Michelin, and by McDonald's.
The Gators open the game 1 of 4 from the field. They've already taken 3 3-pointers, and they converted on 1 of them, extending their consecutive game streak with at least 1 3-pointer to 366 straight games. And Michigan State with a 6-3 advantage. Gator basketball after the timeout. Walsh dumps it. The lead. He wrecks the rim.
Pretty exchange. He's very, very active, moves without the ball very well. Nice little delivery. The 2 big guys getting involved early.
Spartans lead is 1. Brett Nelson in the game for the first time. He participated in that 2000 National Championship game, scoring 11 points off the bench for the Gators. And Gagne, a back in, spinning. And a mini hook to the senior Gagne.
Bonner at 6'10" or so, too, trying to defend one-on-one in the post. And Gagne very, very strong and established good position that trip.
Comes in averaging 7.5 points per game. 8-5 Michigan State. Spread the floor. Walsh gives up his dribble. Nelson comes to the ball.
And close to taking a step. Tommy Izzo got up off the bench on that lack of call.
Kick out. Hamilton looking to turn the corner. He does. Nelson steps into the J. Off the rim, no, and it's rebounded by Davis.
And that's a guy Florida would love to see get untrapped.
Pull-up pop. Torbert connects.
That's what Michigan State does so well. They run the ball up the floor all the time, but they don't necessarily look for quick opportunities there. Torbert, though, wide open on the wing. You have to take that 15-footer in transition.
Hamilton on the outside. 10-5 Spartans. Walsh using a screen. Long three. Book it.
Well, once again, that high screen right there. You get a little tangle up defensively. Smart play by Walsh to recognize the defender got buried.
He shoots the long-range jump shot at 43%. The freshman from Holland, Pennsylvania. Play called out by Chris Hill, handling the basketball for Michigan State. 2-point lead for the Spartans. Hill on the perimeter, picked up by Bonner. Davis, the freshman center.
We'll see if he can slide back down low. Not looking for him, though. He steps away.
Shot clock at 5. And a foul called on Anna Gagne, battling for position against Walsh.
A little too aggressive underneath the basket that trip to get that spot. But here they come down the floor. A quick spot. May have gotten away with an extra step there actually on the transition. But here's a little pick and roll, and then you have the pick, the roll, but that time Walsh stays there with the jump shot because there's nobody collapsing on him. They went with the roll part of the play.
Christian Dreyer checks in, along with Bonell Colas for Florida. Also Adam Ballinger getting his first action for Michigan State. Lee up top. The freshman Dreyer, cross court. Under 13 minutes to go, first half. Michigan State by 2. Lee trying to force his way in, and he draws the foul on Davis. Coming up tonight after basketball on 60 Minutes, Americans in uniform. As soldiers? No. As cops getting ready to do battle with terrorists. Tonight on 60 Minutes.
Lee's been very effective for putting the basketball on the floor. Billy Donovan likes the fact he knows he's been playing well. The other night he really played well off the dribble as Michigan State settles into a zone right now. A little matchup.
Lee extra feed, and it's to the wrong team. Picked up by Davis. Anderson running. Look at the athleticism going to the rim. A foul call. Dreyer was there defensively, and they'll get the freshman from Denmark on his first personal foul.
I like the little mix in the blend that Michigan State has in terms of going up and down the floor. On the turnovers, they really look to press. They look to really have pretty good judgments in terms of looking for their advantages going down the floor at the offensive end. And when they have one, they usually try to take advantage of it.
Anderson scored 14 points, dished out 7 assists in the 79-64 win over Colorado in the first round on Friday. 1 out of 2 from the line. Rebound tracked down by Dreyer. Michigan State with an 11-8 lead. Florida's going to put Bonner back in the game, which is trouble for a play-by-play guy because he looks just like Ballinger. They're twins.
Let me know if you need any help. I'll try to pitch in. The Redheads have to stick together, I think, is what Ballinger said.
Out near midcourt, Nelson didn't know where he was for a moment. 10 to shoot. Swings it. Lee puts it on the floor. Ball movement. Drive by Hamilton. Couldn't get it to the rim. Follow. Colas. No. Colas again. And slams it down.
Great work on the offensive glass and also pushing the ball towards the basket on the dribble drives. Florida's doing a lot of that. And Nelson having some trouble in the backcourt just then, getting called for the foul.
First personal on Nelson. Michigan State with a 1-point lead. We're in the first half here in Tampa. A close one early on here in the South bracket. Second round play with Michigan State, the number 7 seed, leading the second seeded Florida Gators 11-10, 11:55 to go until halftime.
And speaking with Tom Izzo of Michigan State, really focusing in the scouting report on the Florida ability to shoot long three-pointers, and he wants to make sure he goes out and attacks that. But the careful thing in terms of guarding the perimeter is that a lot of these big guys for Florida, Bonner, Walsh, Lee, can put the ball on the floor, so they have to be careful when they go out to defend.
Post-up opportunity, Davis on a back end. Traveling call. Michigan State scored 44 first-half points in their first-round win over Colorado. That was a season high. I'm not that sure that they're going to get to 44 in the first half here.
I would be surprised myself if they get that high in the half.
Michigan State is 4 of 6, but they've turned it over 5 times, and Florida can take the lead. Bonner puts it on the floor against Davis. Roberson towards the rim. Colas.
Well, that wasn't pretty, was it? Little extra step. He may have traveled twice on that play, actually.
Substitution, Lorbeck into the game for Michigan State. And Gagne returns, and Davis and Ballinger will take a seat. Tom Izzo will shuffle players in and out throughout all 40 minutes of this game, and he's got a deep bench to do it.
Well, he wants to keep the press on a little bit also.
Maurice Ager just checked in the pull-up for the freshman, and he hits.
Good reaction just then by Michigan State. Once again against the full court traps. You go by it, you know you have numbers down the other end.
And a foul on Gagne as Colas took the baseline. Michigan State with a 13-10 lead over Florida. 11:07 to go here in the first half. Second foul on the senior, Aloysius Gagne. Physical play from the Spartans as we expected. Florida, a team that likes to take a lot of threes. Michigan State trying to force them farther away on the perimeter. That's a deep one. Roberson, rimming no. Lorbeck the rebound.
Well, Florida led the SEC in makes from three-point range at 9 per game. Whoa, that's going to go the other way. Be careful, a little wet spot out there. And that's why Tom Izzo wants to approach the long-range shooting, but Billy Donovan's team has to take them in rhythm. As you take a little look here and legs go out from underneath you. That looks to me like a wet spot there, and unless you get a bad pair of sneakers on.
Turnover, Alan Anderson.
One of the things to look for, too, we touched on the fact that Billy Donovan's team shoots the basketball from long range. They're going to keep drawing out the defense to the perimeter. They have to start putting the ball, as they have been for a period of time in this first half, put the ball on the floor and try to go by somebody out from outside and then look for some opportunities.
Michigan State leads by 3. Bonner, we're tied. A three-pointer for Matt Bonner, who led the SEC in that category this season, 48% from downtown.
And that was a 6'10" guy coming off kind of like a screen, facing up, planting the left foot on the run. You're supposed to see 6'5" guards do that.
Gators are 3 of 7 from three-point territory. Michigan State looking to answer with Davis. And a foul called as Davis released the ball towards the rim. Colas picks up his first.
Now, this doesn't look like a 6'10" guy to me. Look at that little cross along, going to his right. Great rotation on the basketball. Well, it's a nice weapon to have in your arsenal if you're Florida. The big guys stepping out, as some of the Michigan State guys can do also, to shoot that 15-footer and longer.
Bonner has been slowed down late in the season. Plantar fasciitis, a sore foot.
And Florida settling into a 2-3 zone right now.
Jump shot, Hill. Textbook delivery. Chris Hill drains the 3. Nelson up the floor in a crowd, and Florida turns it over. This is Lorbeck getting it ahead for Hill. Torbert, they'll give him that shot inside the arc, rimming no, and rebounded by Bonner. A rugged board on the inside.
One of the things about Torbert, he still seems to shoot that basketball. He gets up very well on his elevation, but he shoots the ball coming down rather than at the peak of his jumper, like that.
Roberson uses the screen, back of the iron on the three-point try.
Pretty good pace, huh? Michigan State pushing the basketball up the floor.
Anderson slips in the same exact spot from just moments ago.
Well, this time he may have been knocked down rather than just slipping on the floor, but you're right in the same spot.
And the second foul called against Dreyer.
Florida has had some problems with the basketball early on in this game, trying to put the ball on the floor, but not strongly and aggressively. I like the concept of going after it, just not really careful with the basketball. They have to keep the pressure on off the dribble, though, for Billy Donovan's squad.
Michigan State makes a change. Jason Andreas, the junior, checks into the game. And Anderson at the free throw line, 84% this season. Now 2 of 4 on the night. Excellent defensive player for Tom Izzo. And that versatility of Anderson, that's really a trademark of this Michigan State team. Hill can run the point. Torbert can handle. Anderson can handle as well. They've got Ager coming off the bench with Rasheed Johnson.
I asked Izzo about the defensive effort the other night. When I first asked him, he said, yeah, it was pretty good. And then about 20 seconds later in the conversation, he said, and after looking at the tape, I thought it was very good.
Walsh, long 3, rebounded by Bonner.
Good work there by Bonner to get that basketball back out and save it.
Here's Bonner, penetration, met there. and misses the layup. Lorbeck stood tall defensively. It's tracked down by Walsh.
Well, Florida is just quicker to the basketball. They may not be getting the traditional rebounds on the offensive glass, but every loose ball, which is an offensive carom, they're getting right now.
Florida 33% from the field, and a foul called. Hill trying to guard Walsh up top.
I like the way Florida is catching the basketball. If there's nothing there to shoot, they're actually thinking first to put the ball on the floor. Watch this right here. He's going to put it on the floor, make something happen. You got to make people defend you, especially on the perimeter.
15th foul against Michigan State. Florida has been called for 7.
If you don't put the pressure on Michigan State with the basketball, they're going to eat you alive out there if you just stand there waiting for them to react, because they don't. They play tough man-to-man defense out front.
Johnson now on the floor for the Spartans. Entry feed, Lee couldn't catch it cleanly. Now faces Lorbeck, crossover. Lee, the leaner, rims out. And rebounded by Johnson. Johnson through traffic. And a deflection off of Hamilton, out of bounds. Michigan State will retain it with a 5-point lead, 8:27 remaining in the first half. It'll be Torbert to inbound. Florida has missed its last 5 shots from the field. Hill deflected by Lee, got a little piece of it, and a turnover.
Big guys can handle the ball pretty well for Florida. Lee in particular the other day putting it on the floor, trying to drive again here.
Lee met by Lorbeck, and he shifted over on the baseline to the right hand.
And did he ever take the bump just then too? The first seam was closed down by Lorbeck. Next thing you know, he's using that body to deliberately get into his shot, and he used Lorbeck to actually give himself some spacing to get that shot off. It's not a home court advantage here, huh? But it's getting a little noisy for Florida at the defensive end.
Michigan State leads by 3. Ball nearly stripped away from Hill. 10 to shoot. Spartans trying to get into their set. High screen. Outside. Shot clock at 2. Lorbeck a 3.
1 second left. That was a dynamite shot. What patience by Michigan State, because I got the sense that the fans were involved so much that Michigan State was having trouble hearing one another call out the play.
Spartans are now 7 of 10 from the field, and they lead 21-15. Bonner makes his move. The runner. No. Lee, the follow. So quick. He did it all in one motion.
Big guys are continuing to put the ball on the floor for Florida, and it's opening up the seams. It's forcing defenders to react, and the offensive seams are opening for them on the glass.
6 points for Lee. Scored a career high the other night, 23. (21-17), Michigan State leading Florida. And breaking down the defense, Chris Hill. He's got 7. A battle of heavyweights here in Tampa. 2 big-time programs meeting for the right to go to the Sweet 16. They played in the 2000 National Championship game with the Spartans winning their 2nd title.
And a team that's known for their long-range shooting, Florida has really been deliberate with the basketball, trying to put it on the floor to make some things happen. Michigan State down the other end have been choosing their spots to run and push.
Roberson, the freshman, circling. Jump step. Finds Lee darting towards the rim, and a chance for 3. A blocking foul.
Does Lee ever track the ball very well? I'll tell you, he really, for a big guy, is quick, athletic, but also times his cuts to the basket very well. Here comes the drive. The pass is going to end up coming down the gut. And look at Lee coming in. Great call from the officials. Late stepping across. Here he comes again. The step in. Boom. That's too late. Good finish. Go to the line and try to finish the conventional 3-pointer.
Andreas picks up his first. Florida, first free throw attempt of the first half, and Lee connects. A timeout, 6:13 to go. First half. Spartans in front of Florida by 3. Michigan State with a 23-20 lead. They're shooting it at 72%, and the Gators living up to their reputation of taking long-distance jump shots, 3 of 9.
Well, look at that number, Ian, but then go down here and look at this number right here. You have 7 attempts versus the 1 for Florida, so I really think that's a number we have to pay attention to, because Florida has to find a way to keep plugging it into the middle, get to the free throw line.
Excellent drawing, by the way, connecting the two circles.
I worked on that. You know, the 4 kids at home giving me some tips.
23-20, Michigan State leads it. Just under 6 minutes to go, first half. Anderson, ball fake, Lorbeck asking for it.
Good 2-3 zone, the middle is open though.
Davis, clean look at the rim for the jump shot.
Anytime you see a 2-3 zone, the middle of the floor, if you swing the basketball quickly, you will get spots in the middle of the floor. Good job by Michigan State, A, to recognize what the defense was, and B, look for the weakness in it.
They can't possibly keep this up. 75% from the field for the Spartans.
Well, if you're Billy Donovan and company, you better hope they don't. You better do something about it to stop it.
Bonner a back in, kick out. Hamilton feeds the post. This is Lee, who's been so impressive in this tournament so far. Off the deflection, Walsh.
Got away with that pass, and there's a travel going the other way.
5:14 to go. First half, 25-20. Michigan State, the 7th seed in the South, leading the number 2 seed, Florida. Here at the St. Pete Times Forum. Michigan State gets a break opportunity. It's Davis with a two-handed finish.
Clearly, that is a defensive no-no just then. Do not let your guy get behind you if you don't have any help from the back. A big mistake right there, Florida on the inbounds.
Spartans have their largest lead, and they're shooting 77% from the field. Nelson a 3, short, and rebounded by Davis. Lead feed for Anderson. Little shake and bake. Hamilton holds his ground, and it's out of bounds. Michigan State will retain it.
Wide open shot here by Davis, finishing it off, going to the hole. And a good decision right there by Lee to get out of the way, because that wasn't going to be blocked. It wasn't going to be stopped. And don't give up the foul on top.
Davis had 10 points, 4 rebounds in his NCAA Tournament debut, the win over Colorado on Friday night. Torberg.
Still settling into the 2-3 defense. And trying to force this basketball game to the outside and perimeter shooting for Michigan State. See how they knock them down.
Out of the corner. It's a 3 for Ager, the freshman from Detroit.
Everybody's participating. It's ganging up right now for Michigan State. Everybody is feeling confident shooting the basketball. And take a look at that number, 79%. That's out of this world. 7-0 Spartan run. Bonner looking for the counter. A 3, rims in. Big answer by Bonner, a guy who's been delivering for them for years. And they need somebody to get a hot hand right about now.
Torberg against Nelson. Under 4 minutes to go. First half. Ballinger back of the iron. And the Spartans are human. They missed.
Finally, huh? Wondering when that was going to happen. Bonner was a pretty big factor defensively just then, though, getting back into play.
Nelson off penetration. Finds Walsh along the perimeter.
Even on the couple of dribbles, when they get that kick out to the outside, Michigan State still reacting well.
Nelson thought about it from downtown.
Yeah, a little hesitant. Has a rough year shooting the basketball.
Walsh, hand in his face. Off the mark for 3. And tracked down by Ballinger.
Walsh looking for a call right there. A little bit of a forced shot on the outside once again. Haven't seen Florida go towards the basket in the last 3 or 4 possessions.
Michigan State shot 46% in their first-round victory. 7 of 13 from three-point territory. Ager squares. Back of the iron. Offensive rebound, Ballinger. Torberg gets a screen from Ballinger. Switch off. Small man against a big man as he's guarded by Bonner.
Look for it to go by him with the dribble.
Off the isolation. Pull-up pop. Around the rim, no. Fight for the loose ball. Ballinger, the senior.
Terrific work by him. Both efforts just then. Getting the ball, getting second opportunities. You keep the possession down this end of the floor, and you make Florida work again on defense with the new clock.
Torberg holds. 2:24 to go, first half. Michigan State leading by 7. Anderson, great move to the rim, and he slams it down.
Oh, he baited Nelson on that one. He got Nelson leaning away towards the middle where the help was. Nothing there. Boy, Michigan State is really on a roll right now.
9-point lead for Michigan State, and coming up, singular at the half. Greg Gumbel, Clark Kellogg will get you updated on all the latest tournament news, plus a live look at the Utah-Kentucky game that's coming up. Singular at the half.
And if I have either of these two coaches right now, Tom Izzo on the positive side, Billy Donovan on the negative side right now, the score, I'm emphasizing to my team that these next 2 minutes and change are very, very important for Florida to stay in this and Michigan State not to get a run on them.
Bonner catch and shoot short on a three-pointer.
Michigan State went on a 5-minute tear.
Ager with the first step to the rim.
Well, he is just blowing by people. In Michigan State against Colorado the other night went on that 5-minute tear at the end of the half to really almost deliver a knockout punch in the first half.
Spartans have their largest lead, 11. Florida shooting it at 37% from the field.
And Florida just looks unsettled, especially on the perimeter where they're really being challenged quickly.
Hamilton on the outside. 11-3 scoring run for the Spartans. Bonner didn't see it. On a return feed from Hamilton, Florida gives up the basketball. It's an 11-point cushion for Michigan State, and this week you can catch the Emmy Award-winning Late Show with David Letterman. The biggest stars, the biggest laughs, and the biggest events are all on Dave. The Late Show with David Letterman right here on CBS, America's most watched network. .129 to play in the first half. And Michigan State, torrid shooting, 68% from the field. They lead at 34-23 over the second seed in the South, the Gators.
And Florida, 38%, have taken 11 two-point shots and 13 threes. They have had some problems.
Swing pass inside, a foul called. Davis was pushed from behind. And it's going to be on Bonner, his first. Eighth team foul against Florida, so a 1-and-1 for Davis. McDonald's All-American, Mr. Basketball in the state of Michigan last year, and he misses on the first attempt.
A good recovery just then by Dreyer to keep that possession alive.
We approach 1 minute to play. First half. Hamilton using a screen down the lane, and he finishes with a flurry.
A terrific screen at that out front also. One of the few times that they've been able to get to the basket with a clear path. Big stop right now for Florida to try to chip their way back into this basketball game.
5 points for the senior Justin Hamilton. 24-second differential. Shot clock, the game clock. And Tom Izzo wants to take a timeout. We'll step aside. 38.8 left on the clock until we hit halftime in Tampa. Michigan State with a 34-25 advantage over Florida. Live telecasts of NCAA men's tournament games are available now online and on demand over the internet. To find out more, go to ncaasports.com.
Look for just a basic screen and roll right now to get a good shot. Good work on Hill.
Lorbeck, high arcing three.
Trying to get the basketball to Hill on the first curl. Lorbeck just steps away. Good decision there by Tom Izzo to call that timeout and make sure his team executes with their last possession possibly of the first half.
He had 17 points in the win over Colorado. And another one from long distance for the 6'10" Erasm Lorbeck. Shot clock is turned off. 8 seconds to go in the half. Roberson, SEC Freshman of the Year. Bonner's jumper off the rim, no. Lee a tip-in. He got a piece off the window. And that's how the first half will end. Michigan State shoots it at 70% from the field. And they've got a 10-point lead on Billy Donovan's Florida Gators at the break. 37-27, the 7th-seeded Spartans in front. Let's go over to Darren Horton.
Tom Izzo, defense has always been your trademark, but what a performance by your offense in the first half.
Well, I thought, Darren, we got our running game going, you know, and everybody thinks we don't want to run. We do want to run, and we're going to run. And give our guys credit. We've been pushing it and getting a lot of easy shots.
All right, Coach Ian, back to you.
Thanks very much, Darren. 37-27, Michigan State. CBS Sports exclusive coverage of the NCAA Basketball Championship will continue after this message.
Hello, everyone. Welcome once again to our studio here in New York and to Singular at the Half. I'm Greg Gumbel along with my partner Clark Kellogg. And at halftime, the Florida Gators maybe a little bit stunned to be down by 10 to the Michigan State Spartans.
Well, the opposition shot Michigan State. You're speaking of 70% they shot from the field. Why do you shoot that high of a percentage? Shooting percentage, a function of shot selection. What kind of shots are you getting? In transition, you beat the defense down the floor. A good shooter pulling up, Maurice Ager. Mark it up. Then off the turnover. Actually, not a turnover, an inbounds play, and they beat Florida down the floor. Then off the dribble, Alan Anderson for the punch. And again, in transition, Michigan State doing a very nice job of beating Florida to the basket with the pass or the dribble.
The winner gets a ticket to San Antonio next weekend, and right now Michigan State is in charge by 10, 37-27. Our other game in action is at halftime as well. This one in Nashville, the Kentucky Wildcats and Utah. Keith Bogan's the open three there. Cliff Hawkins, the short jumper here. Wildcats were up by 10.
It was all Wildcats as we take a look at Jules Kamara off the nice bounce pass from Gerald Fitch. 10-point lead, and then Eric Daniels going to grab that missed shot and put it right back in the hole. 21-9 Kentucky, and they're up 14 at the half.
And you know, the Wildcats are just a pain in the behind to Utah. They've eliminated them from the tournament 4 times in the 90s. They lead at 37-23. In Tampa, Wake Forest and Auburn.
Justin Gray, 26 points, 3 of them right there. Wake by 9 in the first half. Then Trent Strickland drives. He'll miss this shot attempt, but Josh Howard right there to get the rebound. Wake Forest by 4.
Here comes Auburn, though. Lewis Monroe, three-pointer. Auburn's first lead of the game is 51-49. And then Marquise Daniels will find room on the baseline. Reverse layup, 61-56. Auburn won at 68-62. Coach Cliff Ellis.
Well, they're all sweet, but the Sweet 16, outside of the Final Four, that's as good as it gets. This team has amazed a lot of people, and they've not amazed us.
The Auburn Tigers on their way to Albany, New York with a 68-62 win. In Nashville, Maryland and Xavier.
In transition, Drew Nicholas. Oh, we've got that looks like Indiana and Pittsburgh. That's Ontario Lett doing work on a nice feed from Brandon Knight. And then Bracy Wright driving to the hole, drawing the Hoosiers close, but too much Pittsburgh, too much interior passing. Ontario Lett again. And look at the defense by Pittsburgh. Page, Brandon Knight, and methodically with stifling defense and the play of Brandon Knight, Pittsburgh wins easily.
After the game, Mike Davis, the Indiana coach, remember how proud he was of his Hoosiers a year ago? Doesn't quite seem to be the case this time around. Take a listen to the Indiana coach.
Like I told him after the game, this is the most selfish team I've been around from the standpoint of not executing what you try to teach them from day one. And what happens is when you play a really good team, that's when you're really exposed. We only have 1 or 2 guys on this team that could actually start for someone else. And so if that's the case, why not play the way I want you to play?
So Mike is not really the happiest coach we've seen in a long time. Do you think that's just immediately after a loss, or is
No,
that
that's
down
a
deep?
season-long venting of frustration. Was it accurate? Perhaps. Certainly he was frustrated, but maybe not the best form or the best time to talk about his team in that manner.
All right, Clark. Meanwhile, now we'll get to Nashville and what happened in Nashville between Maryland and Xavier.
Here we go, Drew Nicholas knocking down that 3. Maryland on top by 2 early. And then guess who it is again? Nicholas finding Steve Blake. Ball fake, 3-pointer, 8-point lead for the Terps. And then the fast break. Blake had 9 assists, one of them right there to Jamar Smith, 14-point lead.
Watch the Terps. Nick Kinnear-Nedley drives the baseline, hits the reverse layup, and Maryland's lead grows. Nicholas penetrates. Taj Holden has the layup. The Terps go up. The Terps win at 77-64, and after the game, Taj Holden on being the defending champ.
Won it last year, and teams are going to give it their best shot to beat the defending national champs. And, you know, that's something you have to wear on your shoulder. And until we get beat, you know, we're still going to be the defending national champs. And you got to go out and play that way. You got to go and play with confidence. And, you know, we have a lot of experience on our team. Guys have been through these type of games before, so we just kind of use it to our advantage. You know, a lot of teams don't have as much experience as we do. As a matter of fact, no team in the country has as much experience as we do. So, you know, with winning a national championship and experience, you just go in confident that you're going to win every game.
How's this for a number? Maryland 12-1 over its last 13 NCAA tournament games. The Terps are on their way to San Antonio. In Birmingham, Purdue and Texas.
TJ Ford going to find James Thomas underneath. He took this game over in the second half. On the break, it's Ford losing the ball, but Deginal Erskine chasing that pumpkin down, and he flushes it. Just a three-point lead.
No quit in Purdue, though. Brandon McKnight, give and go with Ivan Cartello, hits the floater in the lane. The Texas lead is down to 2. The Royal Ivy will pull up, knock down the jump shot. Texas with a 4-point lead at that point. The Longhorns win it by a score of 77-67, and they are on their way to San Antonio as well after a strong scare given by the Purdue Boilermakers. Butler in Louisville, Mike Monzere knocked down the 3. Purdue, the Butlers lead 70-66.
And then Reese Gaines going to bring it to within 1 right here. He had a big second half, 26 on the day, 3 of them right there. It's a 1-point game. Darnell Archie was unconscious. 8 threes, 1 of them right there, 73-69.
Brandon Miller to Dwayne Lightfoot Jr. The bucket, the foul. Butler 75-71 lead. The Bulldogs win at 79-71, knock off the 4th seed Louisville Cardinals, and Butler is on its way to Albany. And in Boston at the Fleet Center, Oklahoma State and Syracuse. State hot in the first half. Victor Williams from outside, long 3. Cowboys up early.
And it's going to be another 3 for Victor Williams. The lead is 6, 39-33. But in the second half, Carmelo Anthony got 11 of his 13. 2 of them right there. The Oklahoma State lead is 2. And Melo right to the rim again. And Syracuse on top.
Syracuse's Jerry McNamara beats the shot clock here. 3-pointer. The Orange jump out to a 9-point lead, and 2 minutes left in the game. He hit another one. There's your final score. Syracuse 68 and Oklahoma State 56. Thank you for joining us here on Singular at the half. We'll send you back to Tampa for the second half of Michigan State and Florida right after this.
CBS Sports presents Singular at the half. Singular's wireless polling allows you to get into the game. CBS Sports exclusive coverage of the Men's Basketball Championship is sponsored by the Carty Silver 03, Sprint PCS Vision, HP, and by Pontiac.
It's halftime here in Tampa. Michigan State leading Florida 37-27 in the South bracket at the break. Ian Eagle along with Jim Spadarkle, and yes, potential upset in the making, but a 7 seed leading a 2 seed. Forget the numbers for a moment. Michigan State is the last team to beat Kentucky. It's been an up and down year, but we know they're a very capable basketball team.
This is a fabulous basketball team because once again, Tom Izzo has them rebounding the basketball. He also has them playing defense on the perimeter. They happen to be shooting 70% in the first half of this game. It makes them a very difficult out. Let's see if Florida can get warmed up at their end and hit some of their long 3-point shots where they shot 4 for 14 in the first half. So they have to change that number around.
Spartans have the ball to open play here in the second half. And Gagne was in foul trouble in the first half. Balanced scoring, which is usually the case with this Michigan State team.
Coaches always talk about the first 4 minutes of the second half. Clearly that's a big impact right now for Florida and Billy Donovan.
Shot clock down to 2, and Hill connects.
And it's such an uplift too for Michigan State if you can get your first one after you play a good, tremendous shooting first half to get your first shot. It continues that confidence build.
Walsh catch and slam. Justin Hamilton.
Nice decision there by Billy Donovan. That came from the halftime break. Here's another one.
Torbert nearly brings the rim down.
A little showtime at both ends of the floor. I like Donovan trying to go there to get the fans involved, but Michigan State answers in a big-time way.
41-29 Spartans. Hamilton off for Bonner. Just over a minute gone by here in the second half. Winner goes to the Sweet 16 to play Maryland. And a push called. It's Gagne.
Here comes Torbert with the wide open lane to the basket to finish it off. And that's how you answer a dunk at one end of the floor. Come back down the other end and get a quick one. No one defending at all.
For Gagne, it's his 3rd personal foul. 41-29. Michigan State. Roberson catch and shoot. No. Off the rim. Anderson the rebound.
Look at them push.
Anderson. He got caught going towards the basket and held up. Some contact there. Bonner defensively. That's his second.
At the end of the first half, Tom Izzo said, you know, we like to run. We like to push the ball up the floor. People do not think of us as a running basketball team. Guess what, folks? They're running the ball up the floor in a hurry, and they've been very effective off the dribble in particular.
They lead the transition points category 11-4 over Florida. Hill fakes on a three. Ball movement, Torbert.
Look at the patience, too, against the zone right now. They're not in a hurry. They're fairly disciplined at the offensive end.
Long three, Hill, no. Long rebound, Torbert. And he saves to Anderson.
Nice smarts there by Torbert. Throw it away from the glass. All the way out, he knew the balance. Guys would be going back on defense. Good decision there.
On the outside, Anderson taking his time. 2 minutes elapsed in the second half. Corner. Hill backs it out.
You can almost sense it with Michigan State. They're just willing to take 10, 15 seconds off the clock to make sure that they get a good look. They're not even looking for the first 10 seconds or so.
Shot clock at 7. Anderson swings it. Torbert, a three. And rebounded by Davis.
This is like a football possession. It's not coming down the other end of the field.
And they've got 2 first downs. 8 missed shots, 5 offensive rebounds. They are making the most of their possessions.
And they just wear you down.
Torbert, backdoor cut, and Davis with a monster dunk.
Boy, are they ever attacking the rim also. They're patient, they're deliberate, they're spacing the floor well, and are they unselfish? Boy, they're getting it done in a big-time way.
Michigan State has its largest lead, 14. Florida looking for someone to step forward on the offensive end. Maybe the senior Bonner. Not on this possession. It's a travel.
Well, look at the little give and go here. It's coming this way, and nobody's there to defend once again along the baseline.
Michigan State picking up right where they left off from the first half to the second half. Tournament summary, 18 teams still alive and 7 straight national champions still have their hopes alive in this tournament right now. That's incredible. Big Ten is 6-3. They have fared well, and they are playing well, being well represented by Michigan State so far tonight in Tampa.
Michigan State, a team that is very much alive and well right now. Balanced attack. They use a lot of players on the floor. You know, they'll bring 9, 10 deep off their bench. But everybody on the floor this evening has contributed and contributed very, very well.
The Spartans can add to their lead. It's Hill guarded by Hamilton. Little collision between Hill and Anderson out near midcourt.
It's the only thing they haven't done well.
Lorbeck puts it on the floor. Double team on Torbert. And Bonner is called for the foul. That's number 3 on the senior. A reminder that tonight after basketball on 60 Minutes, Americans in uniform. As soldiers? No. As cops getting ready to do battle with terrorists. It's coming up tonight after basketball on 60 Minutes. Long three. Hill, no. Lorbeck, another offensive rebound for the Spartans. Torbert, a jumper, side rim, and Bonner controls it for Florida. Billy Donovan looking for a spark. Dreyer is now in there for the Gators. Fans trying to remain enthusiastic. Offensive foul. Lee set a screen. And Hamilton tried to slide around it. It'll go against the Florida center.
Yeah, Billy perplexed a little bit by the call, but Florida picking up the offensive foul there in the moving screens. You just cannot get a rhythm going down the other end of the foot, their offensive end of the floor.
Going the other way.
Anderson running him over. He's saying that Bonner pushed him into the defender. Not quite the case. Good shots of the coaches. Tom Izzo at one end. Dreyer just standing there, and Anderson saying that Bonner had something to do with it with a little hand on the back, but it goes the other way.
And that's the first foul on Anderson. 8th Michigan State turnover.
Obviously, somebody at the Gator end here has to get a hot hand.
Lee, a back in, spin. Trying to get it to the cutter, knocked around off of Dreyer, and controlled by Michigan State. Maurice Ager back in there. Long three, Hill, rebounded by Lee.
You see the balance that Michigan State has also, not allowing Florida to get up and down the court and finding open seams, as Michigan State did in the beginning of this basketball game. They ran with a method, and they were looking for open spots.
Dreyer bumped by Anderson, and a foul called. Basket won't count.
When you're in trouble, and you're really in trouble as Michigan State is right now, and Tom Izzo's defense is pretty good, Florida really has to challenge him off the dribble.
Second foul on Anderson. Spartans lead by 14. Back in Tampa, let's check in right now with Darren Horton.
Thank you very much, Ian. I have with me the legendary coach of Michigan State, Judd Heathcote. And, Coach, I know this is a special time of year for you.
Well, it sure is, and a special time to follow the Spartans, and they're playing so well tonight that it's just fun to be sitting here, Darren.
What do you think about this year's version of the team, a team that a lot of people have underestimated?
Well, you know, they've had an up-and-down year, but with no point guard, they've really struggled at times. And yet they seem to be playing better right now than they were earlier in the year. They finished winning 8 out of 10. So maybe it's tournament time when they maybe show their improvement.
All right, thank you very much, Coach. Ian, back to you.
All right, Darren, thanks very much. Judd Heathcote, of course, head coach of the Spartans back in '79 when they won their first NCAA title behind Magic Johnson and Greg Kelser. The rest of that Spartan team. Hamilton gets the deuce on one end for Florida, then gets called for the personal foul on the defensive end.
Florida settling into a zone right now, hoping that Michigan State comes up short with one of their shots. They've been so deliberate and so good at knocking them back.
Anderson calls out the play. 8 to shoot. Just over 5 minutes gone by. Second half. Ager. Beautiful three-point shot from the freshman Maurice Ager.
See, it's a double whammy effect, too. They're working the clock down, and Florida starts to think and get some confidence. Okay, they're not getting their shots where they want them. We're stopping them for 30 seconds or so. Next thing you see, a long three-pointer go down. It's demoralizing from a mental standpoint.
And now Michigan State has its largest lead. Dreyer off for Bonner. They'll try the post. Lee facing. Baseline right hand. Off the rim, no. And rebounded by Davis.
A good balance by Florida. Once again, no hurry right now on the break. They didn't have anything, so they'll wait it out a bit.
Hill finds Ager. Way off on that one. Long rebound. It didn't hit the rim. And Michigan State controls another offensive board.
Everybody under control, though. They got the bench down their end on the offensive end. Everyone on the bench letting them know it didn't hit the rim.
Hill off the dribble. Tripped up. You know, one thing, Jimmy, with young teams, you just never know how freshmen and sophomores are going to react. Michigan State's are reacting well here tonight. Follow every play from each game of the NCAA Tournament in the Game Center, along with updated scoreboards. CBSSportsline.com, America Online. Enter keyword CBS Sportsline. Lee picks up the third foul, the Florida sophomore.
And Michigan State just looks a step quicker from a collective standpoint as a unit and as a team. That's okay. That's not backcourt. An entry pass from behind their basket. They just look quicker out on the floor. They really have spring and the quickness, that first step when they need it.
Ager off the dribble outside. Hill's got it with 18 to shoot. Defended there by Nelson, the senior. Trying to set things up. Hill with 8 to shoot. Torbert puts it on the floor, driving to the rim. Around the rim and out of bounds. 13:25 to play. We are in the second half. Michigan State leads Florida 46-31. Fans here have been trying to get into it, but the Gators having all sorts of problems on the offensive end. Bonner's three short.
Nobody on the offensive glass. 3 green shirts there.
Torbert as Dreyer comes over defensively.
And you see that decision just then by Torbert. Nothing there. Let's take a little time off the clock. Force Florida to come out and play us man-to-man where we can use our quickness to go by.
Michigan State has cooled down. They are 36% shooting in the second half after 70% clip in the first half.
It gave them enough cushion, though, in the first half and also lifted their confidence, that shooting.
Chance for Anaganye. Came down with the ball. and it's called a jump. Possession arrow to Florida.
Tommy Izzo's reaction. You know, Izzo was standing right next to the official on that call. Curtis Shaw had the same look, so he's not going to argue. That's a great shot, though. Smiling only for a second. Now it's back to the intense look.
Michigan State with a 15-point advantage. On the perimeter, Lee. And some activity. Torbert trying to deal with Dreyer as he was curling around. And it will be Torbert picking up his first personal foul. That's the 4th team foul on Michigan State. New shot clock for Florida to work with, and Bonell Colas will come into the game replacing Matt Bonner. Hamilton to toss it in. Hamilton, one of 5 players here tonight that participated in that 2000 NCAA Finals, as did Nelson. He can't find his range. (46-31), Michigan State leading Florida. The Gators out of sync on the offensive end. Spartans a near perfect first half of basketball, but they've been humbled a bit on the offensive end here in the second half. Florida shooting 39%.
But when you build up those big leads in the first half, you can ride them for a while, and Lee picking up his 4th foul, so obviously a decision that's an easy one for Billy Donovan. You have to get him out of the game, but it's just a game so far with the Gators. They just have not been able to put 3 or 4 minutes of good basketball together.
Adrian Moss, a freshman, replaces Lee. On a kick out by Ager. Under 12 minutes to play. We're in the second half. Florida has scored only 4 points in this second half. Torbert. And Michigan State very deliberate in the half-court set.
They have been taking the clock down on many occasions, the shot clock.
Ager met by Moss on a personal foul.
And they've even been getting fouled or getting their little open shots to go for them, but they're really bringing this shot clock and game clock down in a hurry, and Billy Donovan is going to have to make some adjustments to try to pick up the pace, take some chances, and take some gambles at the defensive end.
And the 7th team foul against Florida. Ager, Tom Izzo's first ever recruit from the Detroit Public School League. And he hits on the first. Tuesday on CBS, join superstar Celine Dion for a spectacular all-new live special. Justin Timberlake hosts Celine in Las Vegas, opening night live. Tuesday on CBS, America's most watched network. Ager added some weight during the offseason. Already had the reputation of being a leaper, a high flyer. And now he's got 12 points. The freshman extends the Michigan State lead. Action from the South as Michigan State now leads it by 17. Let's take a look at how this bracket has rounded into form. Texas and UConn advancing on. Number 1 seed in the South and the number 5 seed, the Huskies. Maryland is already in the Sweet 16 with a win over Xavier. And now Michigan State and Florida eyeing a trip to San Antonio. Spartans in control, 11:25 to play. Roberson. Offensive foul.
See, what Billy Donovan's troops are trying to do right now is they're trying to force the action a little bit. Comes around the corner, the big fella steps out. He's moving a little bit, and that's what Billy Donovan got up off the bench and voiced his opinion about a little bit.
12 Florida turnovers. And some pressure. Anderson able to deal with it.
Another sound rebounding performance by Michigan State, 21-14 on the glass. One of the things they've done so well this year against Tom Izzo. 26 out of 32 games this year they've commanded the boards. And it always plays up large with his games.
Both Florida and Michigan State very young teams as Ager gets it blocked. Lorbeck, a freshman, for 3. And it's rebounded by Moss. This Michigan State team, though, is starting to figure out how to win. They've won 6 of their last 7 coming into this game tonight.
And they're not fancy, that's for sure.
Hamilton drags his defender with him, and a foul call. Let's check the CBS Sportsline stat of the game, and it's bench points, and it's no contest. 18-2 in favor of the Spartans. Get complete tournament stats at CBSSportsline.com. On America Online, enter keyword CBS Sportsline. Ager has accounted for 12 of those 18 points from the reserve. Second foul on Torbert for Michigan State. 48-31, Spartans. Feels like Florida's been stuck on 31 for quite some time. Colas, and a little pitter-patter of the feet, steps.
It's been an amazing game for Florida. They just have not been able to put anything together at the offensive end of the floor. And you would figure that some of that has to do with the Michigan State effort defensively. They've been outstanding. Now they have to come out and try some full-court activity. And the patience and the few turnovers that Michigan State has had that have cost them. They've really not put the ball out there for grabs for many breakaway layups for Florida with their turnovers.
13 Gator turnovers, and they have just 13 field goals. We will hit the midway point, second half. Florida completely stagnant. Michigan State goes inside. Anaganye jump hook, and he gets the roll.
So efficient. Every trip down the floor, they've been methodical with the basketball. Against Colorado, they limited themselves really with the turnovers. They only had 11 in that game. For the most part, they were at 5 deep into that game. And tonight also doing a good job of controlling the basketball.
Look at the drought. Over 8 minutes, 1 field goal. Hamilton a 3. Kansas from the side.
Finally, the fans get something to cheer about. But did you notice the reaction of the fans there? I thought that was about 20% of the people reacting just then. They've been lulled out of this game also.
Double team comes on Anderson. Did he get the timeout or a jump ball call? Jump. Possession arrow to Michigan State. Davis comes in for Michigan State. Walsh for Florida. Tom Izzo wants an explanation. You know,
I'm not talking about the golf schedule in the summer either, I bet.
I don't think so. You know, Izzo has that football mentality. We know about that relationship, lifelong relationship with Steve Mariucci back in the state of Michigan, the head coach of the Detroit Lions. And Izzo told us Mariucci did attend practice for the Spartans earlier this week.
And the conversations you have with Tom Izzo, he always brings in to play an analogy of the football game, especially with the turnovers. Don't turn it over and make bad mistakes like in football.
Davis leaning, jump shot, no. Out of bounds, and Michigan State will get it. Who wants the ball more?
Well, it's a matter of who wants the ball more and who's getting the ball more, and Michigan State has clearly dominated this basketball game. The rebounding has been there. They've been just a touch quicker to it. And that one just then going off Walsh.
8:45 left to play. Torbert, kick out. Anderson, pull-up pop. And rebounded by Bonner. Walsh goes down in the heat once again.
He looks like he's hurting, too. He got one across the jaw that time. One of the few times in this half that Michigan State took a shot just then with 27 seconds on the shot clock.
Only 7 field goal attempts in the half compared to 16 for Michigan State. Incredible. Dreyer is pushed by Hill. And that will be the 6th team foul against Michigan State. Number 2 on Hill.
Let me steal another football analogy, but how many offensive plays are you going to get in a game? And they're getting more of them at Michigan State's end of the floor.
Is this a tryout for you for CBS for the NFL season?
I heard you do a little football.
Florida Gators, you've seen what they've done since the 2000 championship. Both of these teams were upset in the first round a year ago. Michigan State came in a very hungry squad. Bonner can't hit the 3. Walsh.
Wow, look at this.
Jumping tables, and Walsh is into the stands. Out of bounds, though. Last touch by Florida.
Well, it really gives you a great example of the hustle of Walsh. Not only the hustle, but check out this athletic ability. He understands what he's doing. He's looking for a table once, twice. Now, above the rail into the 3rd row up there.
Tell you what, Gators having a tough time getting it inside. Torbert unable to slam it, and it comes off the rim. He's fouled by Walsh. Number 2.
It's been a great example of how to attack. Watch down the right side of the floor here. Bang, a little bounce pass. and off to the races with the missed dunk, but they got it down the floor in a hurry. That's what it's been, a nice combination of balance, patience, and then in the first half in particular, when Michigan State had opportunities to run, they went down and really put this one away in the first half, it seems.
And you mentioned early in the game, how would free throw shooting develop over the course of the night? And there's no contest. Be a part of the madness. Coca-Cola presents the Late Late Show with Craig Kilborn in New Orleans. It's a week of March Madness direct from the Big Easy beginning March 31st right here on CBS, America's Most Watched Network. Torbert at the line. Florida with one free throw attempt tonight. That's it.
That's it. And you can figure it out. It's a simple game. When you play a rugged game of rebounding the basketball, you defend and do not allow your opposition to get to the free throw line. You're going to be in pretty good shape most nights, as is Michigan tonight.
Ager in for Torbert. Here's Hamilton on the outside. 51-34. Michigan State. Walsh leaning jump shot is good. They got a big hill to climb. Now down 51-36.
Oh, there's a loose one there.
Steele, Hamilton, and a foul called, or is it? Out of bounds. Anderson may have gotten away with one as Walsh was there trying to catch it. But Florida will have the ball when we come back. The Gators trying to make a move in the second half. Spartans up by 15 as we check out the game summary. And the turnover story for Florida, 13 of them after protecting the ball well in their first round win over Sam Houston State. It's been a sloppy game so far for the Gators.
Well, every Gator fan in this building, including the team and the coaches, know that the next 3 minutes of this game will tell you whether they're going to have a chance to win this basketball game or not.
Second foul on Lorbeck, and the 17th foul against Michigan State. It puts Florida in the bonus with Bonner. 74% shooter. Bonner, no good. Over the back. Moss was trying to lunge forward to get it. And you could take your pick of white jerseys.
Well, the other part of that for the Gators is that they give up a free throw attempt at one end of the floor to stay. Have the clock stop, trying to score without it moving. And it goes down the other end of the floor for Michigan State.
Second foul on Adrian Moss. Lorbeck, it rims out. Another attempt coming for Erasm Lorbeck, the freshman who came in with very polished offensive skills. European player from Slovenia.
17 points in that Colorado game, so having himself a nice doubleheader here.
There's Roberson against Anderson.
Had to turn and start looking to go to the basket.
Bonner flips it to Walsh. Ager there defensively. Walsh step in, loses the ball. Good. Bodies flying, and Roberson can't handle it. Out of bounds.
Talk about a little bit of hustle here. Falling to the floor again. Walsh loses the basketball. He's looking for a call. Pretty good effort by him to try to retrieve. Moss comes in. And then right at the very end, Roberson kicks it out right out of bounds again.
And even 7 minutes remaining for Billy Donovan's team, trailing 52-36. The number 2 seed, that team that slumped at the end of the season, came into the tournament. A lot of people were surprised they were seeded as high as they were in the South after losing in the SEC tournament to LSU.
Nice little job there by Anderson with the little delivery in the middle of the floor. Once again, poise and patience, and really breaking down Florida off the dribble has been the storyline.
Davis now with 9 points. Gators are in big trouble. Lee, right hand, no. He's just not getting those rolls like he was in the first round. Ager behind the back. That's nifty. Maurice Ager, the freshman, at Michigan State, in a rout
Well, I said the next 3 minutes would be very important for the Florida Gators. Guess what? The Michigan State Spartans have heard it, and they are starting to answer it right now.
Walsh lines it up. Off the rim on a three, and that's the kind of night it's been for Florida. Bonner, the foul. Number 4 on the senior from Concord, New Hampshire.
Here's the little dump pass down low. A good catch and delivery just then by Lorbeck. And once again, down the other side of the floor. Look at the way the quickness is working from a team standpoint. Ager that time coming down the middle of the floor. Michigan State has just convinced me that they're a lot faster as a team, especially tonight against this Florida Gator ball club.
Razum Lorbeck at the free throw line will get another. Wednesday on CBS, Survivors on a special night. A surprise twist is about to blow the game wide open. Don't miss an exciting all-new Survivor special night. Wednesday, 8, 7 Central on CBS, America's most watched network. 1 out of 2 for Lorbeck. And it's 57-36. Michigan State had some questions to answer coming into this tournament as a number 7 seed. They handled Colorado in the first round, 79-64, improving to 14-3 all-time in NCAA Tournament first-round games. And for the 5th time in the last 6 years, they've won 20 or more games in a season. They're 20-12. Hill, little icing on the cake. Chris Hill, the long-distance delivery.
Knockout punch also. I mean, this is a team, when you look at the scoreboard, 60-36. Florida averages 76 points a game against some rugged competition this year.
Bonner, high arcer, no. And nothing is going down for the Gators.
Again, Ian.
Anderson, Hill, Ager. It's not a law firm, but it works as a fast break combination. 11-0 Michigan State run. Take a look at the best tournament winning percentages. Active coaches, you can put one more loss on the board for Rick Pitino after falling earlier. Tom Izzo, 17-4, a better percentage right now than Mike Krzyzewski in tournament play.
And this has just been an incredible one to add number 18 to the legend for him. What a convincing show this has been for Michigan State at both ends of the floor.
Now, Florida's lowest production this season was an embarrassing loss to Kentucky. They scored 55 on that night. And right now they are stuck on 36. Gators had that swagger on Friday when they took care of business against Sam Houston State. We have seen very little of that here tonight. Anaganye picks up his 4th personal foul.
The fact that they had such an easy second half also against Sam Houston State, it was almost like shooting practice. What was going through a lot of people's minds, I'm sure, was the shooting practice will not be as easy against Michigan State, and it really has not been.
Lee has been held scoreless in this second half until that free throw.
Also had a chance, Ian, to talk to Tom Izzo a little bit about the crowd tonight and what his impression would be coming into this building with a partisan crowd of Gator fans. So yeah, we played a lot of tough places. We played on the road before. I don't think it's going to be a factor tonight. Half of me was thinking that he was trying to kid me, but clearly he got that confidence in his team, and it has not been a factor at all.
Nelson back out there for Florida. Some pressure at midcourt, but the Spartans handle it. Under 5 minutes to go.
They're just a confident bunch right now, Michigan State.
Anderson calls out a play. Michigan State shooting it at 58%. Florida, 38%. Torbert on the perimeter. The freshman Ager. Kick out. Lorbeck gets it off. And it rims in. A microcosm of Michigan State's night.
Sure is. Say goodnight. This is one that's been in the books for a while.
12 points for Razum Lorbeck. And Walsh, bank shot no. Davis comes in to rebound it. And Michigan State now content to use clock. And Game that never really developed into the competitive situation that you and I were expecting. I think most college basketball fans across the country anticipated.
Yeah, I thought coming in that this would be a good one. After the first 7 minutes, I thought we'd have a real good one on our hands, and then all of a sudden Michigan State took over and really put the finishing touches on way back in the first half, because Florida just could not get unraveled. Once again, shot clock down.
Lorbeck, no good. And it's rebounded by Walsh. Gators have missed on their last 5 shots from the field. Walsh feeds it down low. Lee drops that. And a foul called on Lorbeck. Lee's got some abilities.
He sure does.
That dunk won't count. But an impressive throwdown after the foul was assessed.
Watch this. You think he's just going to flip it up there, but now he finishes that, as you mentioned, throwing it down. Some very nice skills with the basketball. Good quick feet.
And a dejected group of Gators right now. Florida, terrific season. Got off to a great start. And the biggest loss of the season, of course, came at Kentucky. That was when they got the #1 ranking for the first time in school history.
And if you recall in that game then, about 7 or 8 minutes of the first half, Florida just could not get on track. And a tough evening tonight also for Billy Donovan. Done a great job, though, with this program, obviously.
5 straight years of 20-plus wins. They were hoping the rowdy Reptiles would help them in the crowd here tonight. It hasn't helped. It's all Michigan State here in Tampa. 3:17 to go in regulation. Ian Eagle along with Jim Spinarkle just taking a look at the big picture. Earlier, Auburn knocked off Wake Forest, so a 10 seed moves on to the Sweet 16. And there's a spot waiting right now for this Spartan team as well.
Well, Auburn was very impressive in the first one, but really when you look at it, you have a situation here where Michigan State has just really advanced themselves in a really confident manner. And I think when you look at them getting ready, I mean, defense and rebounding and guard play are usually 3 components of a successful tournament run. They're getting pretty good guard play without a true point guard on the floor.
And they've out-rebounded Florida 30-18. Torbert. And a foul called. It's going the other way. And a Gagne on the interior. And that's going to be it for Aloysius Anagagne, his 5th foul. 6 points, 1 rebound. Tonight after basketball, it's 60 minutes. Americans in uniform as soldiers? No. As cops getting ready to do battle with terrorists. That's tonight, right here on 60 Minutes.
Tom Izzo has built an elite program, and they continue to focus on keeping that level at a very high, intense level, both on the floor and away from it. And just continues to really impress, and its intensity on the sidelines really conveys to the players on the floor.
Well, Anagagne's college career will continue despite fouling out of this game. The defending national champion Maryland Terrapins waiting in the Sweet 16, a matchup in San Antonio for this Michigan State team.
Gary Williams and company will have to figure out how to go out and play offense against this Michigan State team. That'll be an interesting concept to try to deliver the knockout punch there, but I'll tell you, this Michigan State team and Maryland, that'll be a nice matchup. An experienced Maryland team in the backcourt.
They have locked up this Florida team here tonight, limiting them to 42 points. Anderson will bring it across.
See an example after example of the quickness on a collective basis by Michigan State. Even with little things like that, just breaking the trap. Anderson coming down the middle of the floor and just quickly moving by the defenders.
2:25 left to play. Here's Torbert putting it on the floor. Dish off, and a slam by Davis.
Just run out the clock right now, Ian. This has been a true display, and they're so balanced and they're so unselfish as a team at the offensive end.
A lot of storylines coming out of this Michigan State team, including Paul Davis. Izzo pulled him from the Michigan game earlier in the season, dressed him down on the sideline. Davis ended up calling his father, who told him, "You've got to start playing with urgency." And the McDonald's All-American responded with 15-point and 21-point games back-to-back following Izzo's reaction.
And that's the key, I think, learning how to play with that sense of urgency no matter what portion of the season you're in. And you learn how to play harder and harder, and that's the job of a coach, to get the most out of any player. And both of these coaches do a good job with that. I mean, Izzo and Donovan are two guys that, if I had to choose a school to go play or play for a coach, these two guys would be right up there. They're class acts. They understand what they're doing, and another class act checking out at both ends of the floor, Bonner in particular.
Now Matt Bonner just got an ovation from this crowd, because that's going to do it for his fine collegiate career. An academic All-American, graduated first in his high school class, Concord High School in New Hampshire. His younger brother Luke, one of the top 50 juniors in the nation right now. He's already hit 7 feet. Michigan State Spartans, this is what they've done in the tournament last 5 years. Sweet 16, Final Four, national champs, Final Four, and a first-round loss a year ago when they were knocked off by North Carolina State.
I'm sure, as you touched on a moment ago, Ian, with people looking at this game before it began, a lot of people are going to be surprised if they're not watching this game as it developed tonight when they see this score in the paper tomorrow, because it may even be closer in the final score with the last minute and a half here than it really was in terms of the way this game was played.
66-45. Spartans. 1:22 left here in Tampa in what has been a terrific weekend. Finishing things off here in the South after this. .121 left on the clock here at the St. Pete Times Forum. Michigan State 66, Florida 45. As we wrap things up here in Tampa, Hill will throw it in for Michigan State. Substitutions, Adam Wolf. Junior is checked into the game, has 1 more year of eligibility, but has decided that with his class graduating that this is going to be it for him this season. And it leads us to our Chevrolet players of the game. Freshman Maurice Ager, 16 points, a career high for Michigan State. David Lee, a 16-point effort for Florida.
And just for the record, Tom Izzo called that timeout just to get subs into the basketball game. That wasn't one of those where I'm going to rub it in somebody's face. And he made sure that Billy Donovan knew that point, and Billy Donovan accepted it and understood it also.
Also, Brian Westrick in the game, a senior walk-on. So he gets a little taste of NCAA tournament action. Ager comes in. He replaces Chris Hill. And these Spartans peaking at the right time. Anderson will check out. And Tim Vokrakis, a fiery walk-on, will see his first action of the tournament. Young man that was diagnosed with leukemia at the age of 4. The cancer went into remission at the age of 14, and he plays with reckless abandon. One of the reasons why he's made this Michigan State team. Dreyer stripped of the basketball with 52.5 remaining. And we'll update things in the South. Texas and UConn already there. And we now know that Michigan State has made its way to San Antonio.
Connecticut, a team that's starting to get some rhythm at the right time of the year also.
Here's Dreyer. And it's 68-46. 48 seconds left.
Well, 46 is a magical number, isn't it, up there from a defensive standpoint?
Yep.
Never would have thought that Michigan State could have put the clamps on this securely with the Florida team, and a team that averages 76 points a game. But indeed, they have shut them down totally.
Lowest point production of the season for the Gators. Came in as the #2 seed in the South. And they will exit in the second round of the 2003 tournament. Final seconds, 14 on the clock. Now, 3 years ago, Michigan State beat Florida for the national championship. Here in 2003, they'll have to settle for a spot in the Sweet 16. They do it to the Gators again. They upset the #2 seed in the South. 68-46 is your final here in Tampa. For Jim Spinarkle and Darren Horton, this is Ian Eagle. Thanks for joining us in the South bracket. Michigan State moves on to San Antonio. Let's head to New York.
All right, Ian, thank you very much. So there is the final. Michigan State over the Florida Gators by a score of 68-46. Now, our regional semifinal schedule is set for next Thursday and Friday. We want to pass along the matchups and tip times to you. On Thursday evening, top seed Kentucky will meet Wisconsin and Minneapolis. The first game in Anaheim will be the top seed in the West, Arizona, against Notre Dame. Then from Minneapolis, Marquette will take on #2 Pitt. And in the West, #3 Duke against #2 Kansas. On Friday night, Butler against the top seed in the East, Oklahoma from Albany. First game out of San Antonio is UConn and Texas. In the East, Auburn will face Syracuse, and Michigan State will meet Maryland in the second game from San Antonio. With that said, let's get